Hello friends, it's been a while since I've updated you on my board setup, so today I'm going to be talking about the perfect transition skateboard setup that I've found. In the last year, I've been skating a lot of different shaped boards, size boards, different trucks, wheels, bearings, everything. In this video, I'm going to show you the ideal setup for me. I finally got it, but first, all right, I need to get all juiced up. That ice Vietnamese, super hyped on this. All right, so before we go into the setup of breaking up a new deck, I got some grip tape. I'm gonna show you what that is because it's my perfect setup for skating transition. This is what it was, just skating. I'm taking it off now. It is a Polar P2, kind of the shovel shape. So that's essentially the nose kind of like tapers up. It's a little bit skinnier, goes up, and then the tail is a little more of a shovel, kind of flat. What's really nice with this is you get a good scoop and you can grab on both sides. It's really good for like learning airs, anything when you're grabbing your nose. It's nice because there's more grab room with a nose shape like this. But I actually ended up switching it up because what I'm really hyped on is wheel wells because I don't like riding riser pads. We'll get into all that, but basically this is a Polar 875 by 32.375 long with the 14.375 wheelbase. Now you might be surprised by that because normally transition skaters like a 14.5 wheelbase. I do like that, but I think the little bit of shorter wheelbase allows you to skate like really tight transition a lot better, and it's less drag on your board. Where if you're skating really big transitions, maybe you do want a bigger wheelbase, but for me, I think this 14.375 is going to be a perfect wheelbase. All the specs right there. 875 I feel like is such a good size, and probably to some people that sounds crazy, especially if you ride a really small board, but we'll get into why I think this is a good size, and you can still skate street with it. This isn't to say like you can only skate transition with a board like this. I think you can skate anything. And then same with the previous board that I had set up with this shovel kind of tail. I actually feel like I could do more flip tricks, like there's more scoop in it. But there is advantage to popsicles as well. I'm pretty hyped that I got the pink veneer on the top too. It's got the pink on the back. First things first, we got to get this notorious warning sticker. A really wide board is nice because you have more foot space, and especially for someone like me that's skating a lot of transition, I do like flipping it, but it's not a 9-inch board. Like someone like Cater, I think is skating a 9-inch board. Now I do like skating shaped boards, but the popsicle does serve sort of a different purpose, I feel like, and not entirely, but it's just when you skate different types of boards, you can do different tricks. The one thing that I will say is going to be hard with this is doing tail blocks. Once I set this board up, we'll go skate it and then kind of test it out and see if I can do everything that I could do with this and make sure that what I'm saying about this board is definitely true. Now, I do want to talk about my Ace trucks a little bit too. We'll grip this up and then we'll talk about the Ace trucks because I did have that problem with my wheel falling off quite a bit. So we'll get into all of that. I want to try kind of just get clear grip tape on this one side basically. So I'm covering the art. Sometimes I do this and I do a really bad job, so wish me luck. Had this clear grip tape for a while, and the thing about grip tape is like I used to just throw a black piece of grip tape on there and not really worry about it when I was like switching up my boards a lot. But I think you actually do skate a lot better and your board is better when you customize your grip tape. And people might think that sounds crazy, but really skateboarding has a lot to do with your confidence, how you feel, how you look, what your board looks like. So I think when you have a board that you take the time to really like put the effort into setting up your board and putting custom grip tape on here, maybe putting stickers on it. You could be crazy and sleep with it in your bed like Jeff Grosso, or you know, you could do all sorts of different things. I don't want to take that off. Why did I try that? The overarching point is that you kind of create a little bit of a bond with your board versus just, you know, kind of setting it up and abusing it. I'm the type of person that likes to break razor blades. Skates my board for a long time. Like when I set up a board, I don't plan to take it down real quick. So when I do set up a new board, I want to make sure that it lasts a while. And I think one way that you can make your board last a while is if you really care about it. So you're less likely to just throw it down when you're mad or anything like that. Not that I really do that anymore. But yeah, it just makes your board feel special and unique to you. That's the thing, is like when I do this, I feel like looking down my board, it's like my skateboard. It's like extra special to me. It's not so much just like my little toy. It's my baby. So yeah, I mean, obviously what I'm trying to say is you almost create like an internal placebo effect by just having it look really good. You're like, oh, well, if it looks really good, I'm gonna skate good, and then that does happen, because confidence is a major thing here. So how am I gonna do this? I think what I should do, well, yeah, I can kind of take this piece, since I cut it from that last one, and use it as a stencil. I'm sure there's a better way to do this. This isn't a how to grip tape video, so if you do have a better way and people are watching, please provide them. So I guess what I'm gonna do is make the lines first. All right, what do you think? Think I did it? That's the window, essentially. Ultimately, like, looking down on your board is something you're doing all the time. I don't like super busy grip tape. Luckily for me, Polar makes really cool graphics on top of their boards. There we go. It's not perfect, it's too wide. Get the idea. There it is. It's Jessup too, and I actually like Jessup. Jessup is not the common grip tape of skaters' choice. Most skaters hate on the Jessup. They're down for the mob. The thing is, I don't want grip tape that's ruining my thumb every time I pick it up. I feel like whenever I pick up that board for like 3 days straight, I'll end up having this like leather finger, and like sometimes I'll even bleed. I'll get like a callus on my thumb because the grip tape's so mad. And you gotta figure, I'm also skating transition, so I'm also grabbing my board a lot more. There's the idea though. That looks good. And it's also nice to like know which way is which, especially now that I'm riding a popsicle shape. I won't really know which way goes which way. It's not super obvious. Definitely have a steeper nose and a more mellow tail, which is really good, by the way. But it's still hard to tell right away if you don't have something to mark it down. I can almost put like little black strips where the pink is. All right, onto the trucks. Now, still have my Aces, and I'm still riding the big boys too. These are the hollows, they're the 66s. I know some people think 66s are too big. I actually did ride them with the 865 that I was just riding, and they were a little big. I will say they were kind of big, so I think the 875 is gonna be perfect. So if you're an 85, 66s might be a push. I know I've ridden them on the 8.5, even smaller before. I like them, but they're sticking out a little bit. I don't mind my truck sticking out a little bit because I think you actually have more stability and more like control of your carves actually when you're skating transition, bowls, big bowls, anything really, mini ramps. I feel like you just have a stronger, precise carve. It's kind of like, I think of it, my metaphor is much like you're a race car in that sense, versus like a monster truck or something like really high off the ground, because you have just less stability, more clearance to the ground, essentially. So, you know, the way momentum and gravity and physics work, it's not going to be as maneuverable. It's not going to be as controlled. So I think a wider truck is actually pretty good. We'll see how these sit on this board right here. And when I say wider, I'm not saying like the wheels hanging out. When I say wider, I mean the nut is real even with your board, because in my experience, when I actually got the, what was it, the 55s last time I didn't think they fit 8.5 really good. And there says on the hanger 8.5, so hanger to hanger it is an 8.5. The thing is, you kind of want more than just more hanger space than you have board space, I think, or not even more hanger space. You want equal hanger space as you have board space, but you're gonna have a lot less if all that wheel is under your board and it's taking all that room. So I think if you have a little bit of a wider truck, you get more grind space too. So that's why it's also an advantage. Especially if you're into slappy grinds or anything like that, I think it's going to be a big advantage to having a wider truck. And here's how they've grinded down so far. I've had them for almost like 2 months now, to be honest. I skate quite a bit and they're barely ground down. Maybe not 2 months, they're probably only like a month and a half. They're holding up really good. I'm happy with them. I skate a lot of pull coping. They're taking their abuse, that's for sure. I am actually riding Allen head hardware right now. I'm not a huge fan of Allen head hardware, to be honest. Overall, the churning on these trucks, these Aces, are better than any other truck besides the Lurpiv. I will say Lurpiv trucks those trucks churn so good. I think Aces are right in that spectrum. The only difference is like, you can definitely still get a lot of wheel bite. That's why I got the wheel wells on this board, so that I can still get that extra little bit of clearance. There's actually a lot of clearance too. If you see these wheel wells and how deep they actually are, you actually get a lot more churn out of your board without sacrificing the height of your board. Kind of like the overall theme of my transition skateboard, my just overall skateboard skate with everything, is to keep it very streamlined and like low profile. So, you know, I want my trucks right on that wood. Something about the contact from the truck just straight to your board versus having anything in between, I think just feels better. I think you get better pop and you even get better churn. Something about having something in between here, it doesn't work. I've heard people even sometimes, well, I've done even taking this bolt and this back bolt out back here, the two side bolts, and you get a little extra leverage in your turn. But look at the clearance on the wheel. Can you see that? Like, there's a lot of extra space. I have pretty loose truck, so that's gonna be really nice to have. Things like that are really cool because now I'm still close to the ground, so I get that really quick, snappy pop. I'm still riding these OJ wheels, and I have some thoughts about these OJ wheels now that I've had them for quite a while. And I've had the Spitfires, Formula 4, I've had all the different kind of shapes and stuff. I've had quite a lot of different wheels, NFG wheels, acid, I've tried them all. With the OJ, they have some new formula, like the dual durameter, something like this. I will say these wheels out the bat skated better than Spitfire Formula 4s. Out the bat, I had like more control on them. I could still power slide, but my power slides were more controllable. I feel like they were faster, honestly. That's what was really weird. But over time, the thing is, I think the Spitfires stay more durable. Like, they stay more in contact. With the thing about these wheels, and maybe it has something to do with them being a little bit soft, so you have that little bit control, is that they get spongier quicker. Like, now they're kind of spongy. They're still quick. They're not super slow, but I think my Spitfires just lasted longer in the sense that, like, they kept their hardness to the wheel. And the only thing about the Spitfires I will say is they get chipped out. These wheels don't get chipped out as easy as Spitfires. And I think, again, it's kind of like a back and forth seesaw effect where it's softer, so you have some good things like that, but then at the same time, they kind of bog down over time and quicker. So the wheel overall, I don't think will last as long, where the Spitfire wheel will last as long. It's just not as good in quality at the very first stage of its life. So now what we need to do is get these rails on here. Board's definitely feeling heavier now that it's an 875. So here you can see my trucks are actually a little bit under it now. So the 875, I would say, is almost it's like perfectly aligned, which you may or may not like. I kind of wish they were a little bit bigger. Then again, I don't think I should get trucks bigger than 66 because that's going to get crazy. So let's get these rails on here. Also, the grinding on the hollows have been really nice. A lot of people have been asking me about the hollow grinding. I think it's really good. And my nut has been staying on there. That's right. That's what I didn't want to forget. My nut has been staying on there ever since I got the, what is it called? Loctite. And then I actually put a different nut on there from the hardware store. They've been good, and somebody mentioned, like, I probably send them back to Ace because my wheels were falling off. I could probably send them back to Ace. They probably would have sent me new ones, but that had already happened. Like, I ordered from Ace. I got a size that I thought was for the 8.5 because that's what they say it's for the 8.5, and I just thought they were too small. So they did give me new trucks without making me return them. So at that point, they already gave me a free set of trucks. So I wasn't going to go ask them to, like, send me another. I always do this. I like find a really good strong rail. Like the last rails that were on my board were really good. Now I'm gonna do less and hope that they're just as good, basically. What I'm gonna do is get some glue so it's just on there, and then I'm gonna drive the drills in. I just use some Gorilla Glue, nothing crazy, because otherwise you just get that rattle. They don't stay down. This kind of just helps everything stay down. I want to be safe. I'm gonna drill. I'm gonna do some pre-drills, just some real little ones. Some of you guys have mentioned, like, bring the rails in because I like to have them on the real edge, and I'll explain why. My whole setup is always about having as much control as I can possibly have of my board. I want the most board control that I can get. And not everything that I do is going to work for you or for everyone. This is just the setup that I've found works for me over time. It's been a long time, to be fair. Skated more of my life than I haven't been skating. That's for sure. So the other thing is you want to definitely start from one side and work your way down. You don't want to just kind of random. You want to one side all the way down. And then people have said not to screw it all the way in, which I think is true too. I think because we got the glue on there, it should be fine. One way you can tell normally is you just look right in between. You'll see a little gap. right there, if there's anything, but these look good. It's nice to have the white rails on them too. The reason that I before kind of had my rails a little bit wider, and I'm doing them a little further in this time, but it's because I actually do want a little bit of board contact, ever so slightly, because if you're just all plastic and you're on all rails when you're sliding, sometimes it's hard to slow down. It's just hard to control it. It's kind of having like copers on your trucks or something. So I think having a little bit of board contact actually does help. It helps you just have, again, more control, so you're not just sliding out. You kind of lean into the middle or lean back a little bit and you can almost slow down. So I do like having a little bit, not much. So the point is, like, I use some of the concave. I go further down on the concave versus putting it right in the middle, where it's more flat. In the middle of the board, it's definitely more flat, where on the edge, you got a lot more, you know, curvature and concave. So now I just got to do the same thing we did on that side. And I will explain a little more about kind of my madness, my skateboard madness, of why I think this is kind of becoming my perfect setup. I'm not sure if I'll change it after this. Maybe I will. Some people do one rail for the same reason that I was saying before. Then you could balance it out on one side or the other more. I wasn't a big rails guy until like maybe 2 years ago. I just realized how much fun they are. That's really what it comes down to. I'm not skating to impress anybody anymore or be accepted by anybody. I'm just out here trying to have fun. The rails allow you to have a lot more fun. I mean, you can like skate any curb you want, really. It's looking good. Let me get some of this glue off. Then let's go break this board in. Let's go skate some transition. Yeah, so haven't gone to the skate park in a while. There's always some different things going on here. There's a school right next here. Like, I love the skate park, but there's a school next here, so a lot of times it's really hard to skate just because there's like so much going on. Unfortunately, right now, looks like school's just getting out. I always come here at the worst time. It's like 1:30, almost 2 o'clock. I guess that's what time school gets out here, but there's some water down here, so this might be a short session. Just want to break her in, see how she feels. First ride, I just took a little lap around the bowl. My trucks feel kind of loose, so I actually might tighten my trucks up a little bit. Speaking of trucks, what I've done so far, like since I've gotten these Aces, basically I haven't tightened them or loosened them at all. I've just like kept them as they are. But now I think the bushings are nice and broken, and that was the goal with that, like not tightening them or loosening them, really getting the bushings nice and good to my skating, like kind of curating to my skating essentially. So now that I've had them for a while, I think I can start tightening them down a little bit and getting them to where I really want them. So I'm gonna do that first. Since we got the wider board, I feel there's more control. Having a wider board does make it like a little bit harder to control. You definitely have to change some things, like maybe tightening up your trucks. Time to leave. People are playing flat ground skate on the deck with transition, so sketch out. Board's pretty good though, pretty hyped on it. The one thing I didn't mention was the bearings. I have these Bronson bearings, just the stock ones. They've been treating me really good. Skate a lot of like crusty DIY dirty spots, so I will say they've been holding out, although it is time to change it up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Not much skating in this one, unfortunately, but hyped to set this board up. I think the one thing that I will say, like as setting this up, grip tape, special grip tape rules.